coin.
I'm starting the show now. We're talking for way too long.
Okay, fine.
Welcome back to the show, Chris.
Thank you, sir.
I already checked the news. Nobody died today, so you can't surprise me again.
Well, yeah, I know. You know about Humpty Hump, right? It's the guy from Digital Underground, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's make it sure. Let's just get them all out of the way, just in case the reference comes up, because yeah, I didn't feel good about disclosing to you that Larry King had died. And I saw that it definitely had an impact on you that was unintended. I apologize again.
It's my fault because in life you can't play it safe. And I was playing safe because if I would have said Regis, then I already knew he was gone. But then I said Larry, and then you're like, Larry just died 2 hours ago. And I'm like
literally.
The hope draining from my eyes. I'm like, I don't know. Would you rather die peacefully in your sleep, or would you rather die at like the age of 90 with 4 ex-wives?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like it's, or we'll just take the third option, which is like in a blaze of glory, some kind of like crazy way to die. Like, you know, like you were on the bomb squad and you defused a bomb, and you know, or you thought you were defusing the bomb, you cut the red wire instead of the green wire, and kaplooey, you got blown up. But you saved a whole bunch of people, so you're a hero. That's pretty cool.
I would rather die saving a kid from a bus than die like in my sleep. That just sounds like you'd get an article written about you. Like in an obituary, if you died in your sleep, it'd be a short little like thing under an Archie comic. But if you died saving a kid from a bus, you'd be headline news and on the TV.
Right. Yeah. I don't like, you mentioned Archie. I was thinking about Sunday Comics and thinking about, we gave them way too much credit. Like there's there are some that are good, right? But then there's Kathy, and Kathy sucks.
Kathy just sounds like a Karen.
She looks like a fucking Karen. Have you ever seen the Kathy? Go back. I challenge you. Go back and read Kathy. Any kind of you know, Calvin and Hobbes, awesome. I don't think they were in Sunday Comics though, right? They were like, it was, I'm trying to think. There's, what were the ones that were back in my day? Beetle Bailey. What else?
The very first comic I ever read was a Kiss comic. So I mean, that I'm not a big comic guy. I mean, I like I had the app on my phone where I was able to like read and like, you know, do all that. But like, I was just out of the era where you'd go to the store with like some nickels in your pocket and buy a freaking, that's a lot of water. Is that water in there?
Dude, that's agua. Yes.
I'm about to say, you could have like Kool-Aid. Nobody would know, but they'd be like, this guy's healthy. He's drinking water.
No, dude, I do, as if you've heard our podcast, we promote F45, which is a really great way to get into really good shape. And it just, on Saturdays, it's the worst of the week kind of workout. It's like, basically they combine everything. It's a grind and it kills you. So, but it dehydrates the ever loving shit out of you because you burn like 900 calories. So, you know, I'm, feeling good, energized because I got done my workout for the day, and now I can hang out with my friend Robbie.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So what was your workout like? Did you listen to some music? Did you listen to a podcast?
Oh yeah, they have music. No, they listen to music. They pump music throughout the thing to keep everybody kind of motivated and going. And it's so it's like CrossFit or Orange Theory is kind of like one of those deals. And
I mean, I work at a gym, so I have to play music on the radio and stuff throughout the gym. And then I had some person go, "Can you change the station?" And I was like, "Why?" And it's like screaming death metal because I get so tuned out to it. It's playing 24/7. You just forget about it.
To it. Right.
Yeah. And then I ended up switching it to 80s. And then it's like you're listening to, but I work so early in the morning. It's like I can't play rap or like DMX or whatever, you know, that late at night or that early in the morning. So then I have to play something like reggae. And then you get a bunch of old people coming in, like the casual schedule people. And then some young person comes in. Could you change it to something hard? I'm trying to get a lift in. I'm like, put your fucking headphones in like an adult.
Yeah. Like what year is this? Like you gotta like turn the radio to a different channel. Like most people are wearing earbuds or wearing headphones or something and listening to their own shit. I mean, like outside of this, when I used to go to the more conventional gyms, like the one that you work at, where you're just doing your own thing and it's not like a class per se, and there's like music going on, you put your own fucking music on. I used to have playlists and shit that I would, when I went to work out at like the Y or something like that, because I don't want to hear the bullshit that was going on. I certainly didn't want to hear people talking around me. No, thank you.
It's kind of like if you don't have headphones when you're going to the gym and you're actually like, who's the guy that's looking to get a pump when he goes to the gym? Like, I hope they're playing something good so I can get a good lift in today's chest day. It's like when I see someone with wired headphones, I question like, welcome to the 21st century. Like, I can't do wired anymore.
No, yeah, I mean, like if like these are for recording and stuff like that, but these are wireless. If I pop them out, I can have it Bluetooth. It just sometimes gives me a lag. But if I'm working out or if I'm walking around, I'm nothing but wireless. It is if you're wearing the old school like fucking Walkman with the little foamy johns on the sides, the wire going across the top of the head, you just come on, man. Like if someone's doing it, because you know how things are cyclical, like from a fashion standpoint. So I'm starting to see now like all the 90s stuff coming back, right? A little bit of the 80s, but a lot of the 90s is coming back. We're starting to see some of that trend come back around again because everything is cyclical.
I hope that's true, man, because I want bowling alleys to come back.
Bowling alleys, yeah, hell yeah. Are you a bowler?
Honestly, I got really into it after the movie The Big Lebowski, and
Love
then
that movie.
I mean, I was bowling like I was getting like almost close to 300 when I was
God
bowling.
damn.
I mean, we would go because our bowling alley was open like till like 4 o'clock in the morning. So I would just show up at like 2 o'clock in the morning. Me and my buddy would just bowl, bowl, bowl. Nobody in front of us, just unlimited games and things of that sort.
That's awesome.
But man, I miss the classics of like being able to go to a bowling alley, get like a nice drink, get some chili fries or something to sit down, and even like just the atmosphere of it all.
The
Like,
atmosphere of the bowling alleys is what you like. Yeah.
well, it's a perfect scenario when you're talking about everyone like down here, at least where I live. It's like we have this amusement park type thing.
Yeah.
They go there, but it's just not. I don't know. It's trashy to me.
What are you talking about? Like the boardwalk arcade type deal, or are
Yeah,
you talking?
I
Yeah.
don't mind those, but it's
Mhm.
like ours is like really like it's supposed to be super popular. Like a bunch of people go, let's go to the haunted house. I was like, why would I want to go to something I'm going to be scared and we're not going to talk? I'd rather shoot the shit and have some fun over a game of bowling or something.
Yeah, why not? And it's interesting too because, like, I think it's some people. It didn't. Now, did you grow up with that? Was that like something that you did when you were younger, like a
Yeah.
lot, or like bowling was a thing that you did with your buddies and stuff like that, right?
Bowling, I guess I started it probably when I was like 17, and then
Mm-hmm.
I just got all my friends were like, "Dude, you bowl?" And I'm like, "I just watched The Big Lebowski, so yeah, it's kind of fun." And then my one buddy's like, "Check this
Mm-hmm.
out," and he's got his own bowling balls. He was in his own league, so he's like, "Let me invite you to this." And they're like, all the guys there are like super overweight, but they have the wrist thing on their arm, or it's like I'm
Oh,
fucking.
oh yeah, professional shit.
And they were like, bowling burns great calories, and I'm a fitness guy, so I was looking at him like, "You don't
Yeah.
look like I could tell you bowl a lot because you're wearing the same shirt that you've probably been wearing for 4 days and you're living out of your El Camino. But at the same time, yeah, I don't see the calorie burn thing. It's like, and I read they had a piece of paper that was hanging in the bowling alley where it said you burn like
Mhm.
300 calories an hour just from bowling, from like wrist exercise. You changed your background in the middle of my show. How dare you?
I did. I did. Well, I figured that I'd be a
It's a good
good
logo.
citizen. I would promote the podcast at the very least. I should have put that up in the beginning, but spooky. Changed it magically, and I got skulls in the back now. How cool is that? But yeah, dude, like I'm older now, so like people expect like golf to be a thing, and I don't mind golfing. I like it, but it's not like something that I'm like. There's people. My neighbor across the street, like across the way, like lives to golf. I don't know how you feel about golf, or yeah, regular golf or
I
mini
guess
golf.
putt putt I really enjoy,
Yeah.
but I've never actually went out on a golf course and done it. But here's the
Mhm.
funny thing is when everything was being locked down, like I had friends that were making petitions to golf. He's like, we're social distancing anyway. It's golf. I'm like, I've never loved anything that fun. Only thing I have respect for in golf is that, like, first of all, when I think one of I don't know if it was Tiger Woods or not, but he hit a ball and you have to play it where you hit it. And
Yeah,
it hit behind
yeah.
a boulder, and he got
Mhm.
the whole entire crowd to lift up this giant ass boulder like the size of a minivan and fucking
Mhm.
move it. And I was like, that's fucking amazing. And
Yeah.
then that's like the perfect level of fame. You could be the top golfer in the world and nobody would recognize you unless they were into golf. And that's a
Right.
very skew amount of people. That's like the same shit as like cricket ball or racquetball or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah. Cricket. Yeah, you're not going to know any cricket players. I mean, I guess if depending on what you want out of fame, it's a good and a bad thing. Because if I want to be recognized, like I'd be mad if I was like the best cricket player on the fucking planet. Which, I mean, cricket's very popular. Not obviously not in America because we have baseball, but if you were the top cricket player and like in your home country, people would be like fawning over you like you're the fucking Beatles. But then you come across the pond and they're like, people are like, hey, get out of the way, asshole. You're like, what? I'm the best cricket player in the world. They're like, I don't give a shit. I don't even know what cricket is. Beat it.
But it's kind of like, for instance, like musicians compared to podcasters. Like if you mention you're listening to, if you're a podcaster to a bunch of people or musicians, they'll be like, that's it. Like I got that on one song. And you're like, yeah, because songs are easier to listen to than like a conversation, especially if it's like about a movie, if it's about this over and over and over again. So it's actually, this is a lot more work and we could still hit the same level of fame. But like, I want a fame where it's like, you want people to recognize you, be like, hey man, I know you from this. That feels good. But then you end up getting to a level of fame where during lockdown, you had to tweet something to still feel like you want to be in the public eye. Cher did that with the George Floyd thing. She was like, if I was there when George Floyd, when that was happening, I would have done something. And everyone's like, shut the fuck up, Cher. Shut up. Like,
Cher, you wouldn't have done jack shit. You would have gotten your hip broken by the cops. That's what would have happened.
She goes, I've been spending all my nights crying about this. And I'm like, everyone was like, what did you just tweet? And I'm like, that's the issue. It's like when Will Smith, when he came out with that interview with his wife and they're talking about, it's like, you just had an amazing Fresh Prince show. And then now everyone's going to remember you for this crying meme now. And then he brings back the Fresh Prince. And I don't, is that still going? I don't know. I was not interested.
It was just a reunion show. It was a single reunion show on HBO, I believe they had. And I had not watched it. I have not watched it, I should say. So it's not that I wouldn't watch it. I think that it was just like, those kinds of shows are just like, I guess if you are into the nostalgia of it, or if they're trying to like one that keeps boomeranging back around for whatever reason. I don't know why they keep on trying to resurrect this franchise, but it's Saved by the Bell. So they now Saved by the Bell. It was Saved by the Bell, the new class, and whatever iteration of Saved by the Bell it is now, which apparently has some of the the people obviously Screech passed away. Hope you knew that. I don't want to keep dropping people on you that are dead, but
I didn't know Screech was dead, but I also don't know who really Screech is. I saw him on Your Pretty Face Goes to Hell, where Screech was there and he was like, they called him something else. He said Steech. He goes, does Satan know that my name's not Steech, it's Screech? And then he did this whole sitcom thing where he had this terrible freaking catchphrase.
Well, now he's in actual hell. So there you go. He's partying. Maybe the devil's actually. Well, he was actually, honestly, I'm not saying that to be mean to Screech, although for what I've heard about him, he was not exactly the nicest guy in the world.
You got to rationalize that though, because like you got to think when you hit a level of fame, a lot of people can't handle that. It's like I would never want to be famous. Like if you listen to like any accounts of SNL, and honestly, if they're gonna, they're one thing that I feel like they 100% cannot bring back is like the old school classic comedies of like Chris Farley. Like Key and Peele did a very good job of like making some nice like new generation type skits. But if you're talking about Matt Foley, where you're not going to amount to jack squat, and it's like that was like, I mean, holding your ribs. And the part
so funny.
My favorite part of his was not the Chippendales one. But when he was smoking a cigar, he goes, I says to the guy, I don't even know where the hell I am. Cause he did that for like 5 minutes straight. And it's like, that is like the purest thing in the world. And hearing Rob Lowe, when he was on recording Tommy Boy, talk about like with Chris Farley, he goes, we'd go to a steakhouse and he'd order like a 40-ounce steak and he'd put a whole entire thing of butter on top of it.
Oh my
like
God.
You realize like, I wish these people lasted longer, but maybe that's why they're so popular. You ever get that like thought in your head?
Yeah. Like it's like, if Belushi was still alive, would he still be funny? If Farley was still alive, would he be like woke all of a sudden? It's like in the moment when you had them and they were in their purest form, it's kind of like, okay. And then it's sad that they died, obviously, but it's still almost better that they did, because then they didn't turn into something that you didn't like. Like you got him it's like kind of Kurt Cobain, great example of that. Like he was alive for, not long enough, but he still put out amazing music. It's not he didn't get to a point where at any point in Nirvana that you said, wow, this music sucks. Like all of it was great. And then he died and that was that. So, you could argue that sometimes it's better that some of these people burn out fast and pass away, because then you don't get a chance to see them turn, the Anakin Skywalker into Darth Vader moment where they're all of a sudden like, shitty, and you're like, they're not funny anymore. They're not, the music, I don't like it as much. Some people just outstay their welcome.
How do you feel about them being able to recreate, like they're doing how they do the holograms? What just
Oh, yeah.
what just happened is they had a computer analyze all the soundtracks or all the songs of Jimi Hendrix, and then also
Mhm.
Kurt Cobain and Amy Winehouse. The Amy Winehouse one sounds good. So they're recreating new songs off this computer, is creating new songs of this person's work by scanning all of their old work and creating new forms of the songs. The Amy Winehouse one is fucking amazing. But then
Oh,
you
wow.
hear Kurt Cobain, and then you hear the Jimi Hendrix one. You're like, I can tell the style, but it's a really like crappily done job. But how long until the future where they're able to scan, like, let's say they find every single one of your podcasts you've ever created, then you pass away, God forbid, knock on wood, but they
Yes.
create a virtual hologram where next thing you know, it's still crisp, but it's limited with the things you can say based on what it's scanned of you or what you've said in podcasts. So a lot of like dick jokes,
Right.
a
So,
lot of
yeah.
shattering kids' dreams, a lot of
That's pretty much, hey, you nailed it. So but that really is interesting. I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest with you, because like I could see that you start to see it also in to a different degree in commercials where they have dead celebrities now hawking things like, a Ginsu knife or a vacuum or something like that. It's like, you know what? Like, give other people a chance. Why are we retreading it as a very Hollywood thing to do, to say, look, it was great. This person was great at the time. We're going to bring them back for nostalgia. But then you got some other fucking schmuck in LA that's waiting tables as he's trying to get an acting gig. Maybe he would be good in that, or she would be good in that, So I feel like, and then the other thing too is, as somebody who creates, and I'm a musician too, so like I'd be like, I don't know if I'd want someone like a computer assessing my style. There's some soul to it. To your point, like you said, Kurt Cobain or Jimi Hendrix, you could tell that it, like, the computer did a good job understanding, utilizing, the probably some level of algorithm to understand how exactly you would construct a song, but it's not them, right? It's because it doesn't have the soul of them.
It only because they do it right, and then they go way too far with it. The hologram thing is way too far, but when it was cool was when they CGI'd Paul Walker's brothers with Paul Walker's face. So at the ending where you see Vin Diesel driving and he looks over and it's playing
It's
"See
Paul,
You Again,"
yeah,
it
yep.
looks like Paul Walker. Now that was important, but they were talking about like using his brother for another film, and I'm like, stop.
Yeah. Now you're going too far.
Yeah.
Like, and not because, look, and it's not that I don't want his brother to
It's
get work.
denial. It's like, I'm not
Yeah,
ready to
he's
accept
dead.
that they're gone, and I need to keep recreating this and beating the dead horse because they're still at the top. And then I'm like, but then you're ruining their career. Like, that's the scary part, is when you sign a contract as an actor or as a comedian or as a musician now, is there a thing in the clause that says when you die, we can still use your likeliness? So
Dude,
selling merch.
100% they could do that. They're going to put those in contracts, and because they're going to want to be able to, if you did pass away, continue to use, you're a commodity to them. You are money. And the second that you pass away, I can't make money off you anymore. Not really.
Imagine this, Chris. So you're on your top of your game as an actor. You're in all
Yep.
these amazing films that made millions, billions of dollars. And then you die, God forbid.
Knock on wood.
You hear the knock?
Yes, I heard it.
Okay, cool. Just making
Yes.
sure. So
it
you
was
know
just
I'm
not the Grim Reaper knocking at my door.
Hey, what's that?
Oh no.
That rat
Guess
tat
what?
tat on my chamber door. No.
That's right. You shouldn't have said that shit about Screech. Now we're coming to take you home, take you down.
but look, and then what they do is, since they can't use you anymore because you're gone, they decide to use your likeliness and they decide to put you in Human Centipede. Then your whole entire career goes down this downfall, and now they're ruining your image where people hate you, even though it's not you anymore.
Yeah, I don't want to see Sean Connery on the back end of a fucking Human Centipede. The guy won an Oscar. Like, I don't want my Oscar winners like being now like pimped out in anything, like porn, whatever. Like, I don't want that. Like, and I think that if you've got a good lawyer, hopefully they'll be able to protect you from that bullshit. In fact, they were just talking about something with Jimi Hendrix. Actually, you mentioned Jimi Hendrix, about the fact that he's got a ton of music that his family will, I mean, basically, I think it was in his will. He said, don't release it. It's not, maybe either because it wasn't complete or he just didn't want it out there. But I think that he did some other stuff that is just, sitting there, and he's just like, nope, you can't have it. I think Prince, the same thing. It's like, you know what? No, it's not. I don't want that out there. But which is a shame because that was their music. Now, what you're saying is you get this computer program that can now translate basically your style into what could potentially be new songs. Like I'd rather my old stuff be out there,
Well, it's different if someone comes to you and says, hey, we got the last works of Michael Jackson before he died, unfinished songs that were written in a journal, and they would sell for billions of dollars. But then now it's like, we don't need those because now we can just recreate his music with the fact that we have computer technology to be able to do so. And it's like, yeah, but that you would have to put an asterisk by the album or something like that.
It's not
that
him.
Was like, it's not the same. And what happens if it sucks? And then a bunch of kids are growing up thinking this is Michael Jackson's work.
This
and
guy
it's now
stinks.
It's like, it sucks. And now you're ruining a whole name.
Well, how about this? Now, because now take it a step further. So, and we've seen this because you mentioned the hologram thing. Like Tupac, the hologram of Tupac was I'm not sure if it was at a Super Bowl show or something. We first saw him whenever we saw him like that first time. It was maybe at the Grammys or something like that. But they'll have potentially concerts where you'll buy tickets to go see these people that are dead. Like, but they're not them. It's like you might as well just be putting on an old concert from when they were alive and watching it. The only difference is I'm sitting in a field and drinking like $15, pints of beer. Like that's the difference.
It gets scarier when that transcends into someone now has to run that person's Twitter account who's dead because they are now doing hologram shows. And then next thing you know, someone's going to try and cancel that person's Twitter, like Cher putting up a tweet. And then a bunch of people are like, the dude's gone, but it's some dude managing his Twitter account.
Yeah. Yes, it's great. Yes. In death, you've been canceled. Fantastic. And by the way, people in death are getting canceled, or people that have been, we talked about this so many times on our podcast. There's a correction, right? And I think that I understand why people do that correction, because they say, you know what, back when this occurred, and you could go to the extreme. I went to the extreme and said slavery. Back when slavery was occurring, everybody was fine with it until it wasn't cool. And then when it wasn't cool, we had the Civil War, the Abraham Lincoln, all the change and reform. Eventually we started getting to places where, people were getting rights. Now, unfortunately, we've got a pretty tumultuous time right now with what's going on with the things against police and the divisiveness.
There's about to be 51 states, bro. There's about
I know,
to
I
be
saw that.
51
states.
Now
how about
here's what I don't like. I was watching The View, and they were like this. I don't know why Hollywood is run by my people for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
But there was do you know what I mean by my people?
I do.
Who runs Hollywood?
It would be the chosen people, the people of Jewish descent.
I was gonna say something, but it was a woman on The View.
Well, you pulled the emergency brake on something there.
it was a woman on The View, and she goes, "How dare you not get that? How is there still so many people that haven't got the vaccine? Do your damn job and get a vaccine. Listen to this Minnesota mom or whatever bitching about her kid wearing a mask." And then there's just this woman that was talking about, like, my kid's growing up at the age of 4 in a world where it can't see anybody's face, telling them, forcing them, putting the mask on, losing the connection. And it's like, you're looking at it like, all right, drama queen, come on now. And then
it's gonna be all right.
It goes back to the other side where the woman's like, well, do you think this is right, you selfish bit? And like, she's using language. And then some person that was her co-host just goes, well, I don't think we should use the word bitching. I don't think you should be saying all that. And she goes, all right, maybe that was a bad thing. But it's like, worry about your goddamn self for once. Jesus, man.
Well, everyone's got, so look, here's the thing. We live in a country where you have freedoms,
and
part of those freedoms, and an opinion, God forbid, and everyone's opinion is, and this is the really tough part. Like, we were talking a couple episodes ago about how when you have, actually, in fact, it was when we had interviewed this guy, the last episode we posted, which was this guy from America's Got Talent. He was a finalist in America's Got Talent. And he had COVID, and he almost died from COVID. This is when it first occurred. Like, he was in the hospital for 88 days. He was in a coma for 2 months. He had to learn how to walk again, to talk again. He couldn't remember who he was. It was fucked up, right? And one of the things that we talked about was when COVID first hit, and it's when there's like uncertainty and you don't know what's going on, you're not sure what to do next, that you see a unity of people. Like all of a sudden people were kind of
It happens right before a terroristic attack or
yeah,
right after
right
a
after terrorist
terroristic
yeah,
attack for
yeah,
first 2 weeks.
yep. It's 9/11, perfect example. Everybody was like, well, fuck them, right? Like it was like common enemy, whether it's a virus or people that attacked your country, all of a sudden, but you lose it so quickly. To your point, it's 2 weeks, a couple of weeks, and all of a sudden now it's like, okay, now we have to pick sides. You guys go over there if you believe this, you guys go over there if you believe that. And then it becomes worse. It's not like pre-COVID, pre-9/11, whatever. People were like, okay, it's kind of me. Now it's like, okay, then when you go post that thing, whatever it is that happened, whether it be a terrorist attack to your point or a pandemic, then all of a sudden people get really divisive. It's like they over rotate back. It's like, wait, I remember now, I'm supposed to not like you. So because we have difference of opinion. So let's really double down on this shit.
It's a bunch of people that want a position of power because their whole life they haven't had any. It's the same thing when you get a bad cop or something like that. It's a person that shouldn't be in power, but as soon as they get the badge, they want to police everything. And like, see, it's just like with the headphones. When they're wired was normal, and then when they became wireless and that became the norm, it was like not weird. It was weird to see someone with wired phones. Same thing with masks. When you see someone not wear a mask in public, there's a little note that goes in your head that goes, that person should be wearing a mask.
I was in Wawa the other day and I was getting some coffee and this dude was walking around without a mask and everyone was looking at him like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, and it's because now the norm is wearing the mask. Yeah, you're programmed to doing it. And so it's interesting. It's scary because, again, those people that are a little bit more QAnonish, I guess you could say they are, or people that are a little bit more conspiracy theory focused would tell you, well, that's just what they want. The government wanted, if they unleashed it on the people, the world, to make sure that they could actually gain control just by doing one little thing and get you to do exactly what they want you to do. And to a degree, if you believe it or not, I don't. I think that this just happened. And it was 100 years almost or around 100 years to the day where we had the Spanish flu. It's the same thing. I don't think that they planned it. I don't think that they said, hey, let's see how much control we can get on people. Because you know how I know that? Because they really want to control over you. All they would do is just say, send the army out, and then the army would be able to put martial law into place pretty quickly. The largest military in the world could take over this country in minutes if they wanted to. Legitimately. I mean, for the most part.
It's just too much back and forth, which I hate. And there was that article, like I joked about this, and I'm pretty sure I said it with you, but I said it's like I Am Legend.
Yeah.
It was a fucking joke, and then they come out with like blood clot stuff. There was a person that got the vaccine and stroked out because of blood clots. And like now he can't walk and he's basically brain dead. And it's like, you hear that shit and it's like, look, if someone's like a little bit nervous about taking it, it's probably for good reason. Look, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm that little percentage where it's like, oh, only 2% go blind. I'm that fucking 2%. My whole entire life has been like that.
It's going to be me. I'm going to be the one that takes the shot. And then next thing you know, I'm fucking, drooling out of the side of my mouth and unable to speak anymore. That's what I want. And the dude that we interviewed, the interesting thing was his brother gave it to him. His brother was fine. He ended up almost dead. And these guys were people of same genetic background, almost exactly the same kind of size and type. This dude was on America's Got Talent because he was a professional, world-renowned dancer and an acrobat. This guy was in shape. He wasn't unhealthy. He just happened to get the bad hand, the bad lot, the 2%.
That's the funny thing is about golfers not getting COVID because they're out in the sun all day golfing.
That's right. They're just burning that fucking shit right away. That's right.
Vitamin D, bro.
That's right. You need it. Got to get that sunshine, my friend.
Do you like interviewing famous people, or do you just prefer having normal people on your show? Because I always find it like I have to ask like questions. It's more of like an interview when I prefer to just have like a natural flow in conversation.
It's an interesting question. So we had we're gonna release this episode because we've been interviewing more people and having more people on the show, and you're more than welcome to come on the show whenever you want. My friend.
I'm waiting for the invite. This is going to come out in December, so let's hopefully plan it before then. I'm kidding. That would be a lot. Like,
wow, goddamn, how many fucking episodes do you have in the can, my friend? Jesus Christ,
not many.
No, but we'll definitely have you on. We're gonna maybe in May we can get you on because we're doing our Cinco de Mayo tournament. One of the things I want to talk about, which is gonna be fun, but to answer your question, I'm good either way, as long as the person can have a conversation. The nerve-wracking part is if you just get somebody that you don't know, like this guy was promoting his book. He really, like, on the surface, if you look at his profile and the things that he's done and the things that he's into, he's a teacher, he teaches middle school. Like there's a lot of really he's got a lot of really positive things that he does in the world. And we're a podcast that is built on taking the piss out of things and like shitting on them mostly. Like we're talking shit about everything. So to interview him, it was nerve-wracking because it was like, is this guy going to even like, and I sent him like, I'm like, look, take a look at what we do. Make sure this is something that you want to do with us, because we're gonna interject some humor into it. So I'm good. Like either way, I think that it's a little bit easier when I'm talking to people like you, or I'm talking to comedians. You know, we had Sarah Tolomash back on, that's the next episode we're releasing. She's a comedian and she's fucking hilarious. So it was easy to talk to her.
Did you see my paranormal one where the lady was talking to the ghosts?
Yeah, that was fucked up, man.
So I got another. Wait, fucked up how? As in the crazy or
like crazy? Yeah, I was like fucked up.
Not so I got another one
in a bad way. Oh, you do?
So I'm just reaching out to so many people a lot of times. Yeah. Like I'm just like, because I'm interested in some stuff and I want to hear people's thoughts and stuff. I'm a genuinely interesting guy. I'm not going to make fun of anybody. I invite them on the show to actually talk and have a good time. This person messaged me back and said, "Hi, Robbie. Thank you for asking. I would love to as soon as I get back to my publisher. I even have real aliens in my book. Been a paranormal investigator for over 10 years. I know my heart yesterday was an attempt to stop this book. It even threw me into a sharp piece of furniture to kill me to stop my book. The demon even told me it tried to kill me. It took over 520 pages long." So I was like, okay, the first, thank you for asking. I would love to as soon as I get back to my publisher. And then here comes the crazy. I even have real aliens in my book. I'm like, oh, okay, you're talking about real alien. And here's the funny thing
experiences, but like when you say real aliens in the book,
pictures, I think she means the books filled with aliens. So I was like, okay, well, hopefully we can get it recorded before they do kill you. And that's all I sent. But here's the funny thing is, I think I'm really like, I hear a lot of UFO experiences. And whenever I hear a famous one on like a podcast, it's always very like, this guy sounds like he's bullshitting. But I think it's because your brain cannot explain what you saw because there isn't a vocabulary or a way to explain it where someone can understand it. Because I've now had throughout my whole entire podcast episode lineup, I've had 3 people explain the exact same thing that don't know each other. They've not met each other, live on separate sides of the country. And then a person come on my show and say the exact same thing again. And I literally told him in the episode, you just proved it to me that it's real. It's all about this triangle in the sky where it's like 3 different lights. And then when you would look at it, much like how you look at my hand like this, as you would walk and look, you would see the other side of it, like this side of it to this side of it. And they've all explained that exact same thing. And this very, very hard to follow, this like vague kind of thing. And I'm like, I'm 100% belief now. You get to see that our alien sightings have increased.
Oh, dude, did you see that
the Manhattan Project?
Did you see the most recently released Pentagon footage of that? It was like an upside down pyramid in the sky. Like
that's what they're describing to me is that same thing.
So it's like, and they're saying that the because I read about it because it's definitely interesting. And look here, this is what I said this the other day. It is statistically impossible if you think about the how infinite universe is, right? Like we have only deep space prose that goes so far. So we have theoretically said this is how much we believe in how expansive the galaxy is, the universe is. We don't know, but if you think about it, even if we just go by what we believe, it is statistically impossible. It is statistically impossible for there not to be other life somewhere. And I'm not saying like you and me kind of like, there's aliens having a podcast that are doing exactly what we're doing. I'm saying like life in general. You could say microbes or it could be people. It could be anything. We don't know.
I'm about to do you have your phone near you?
Yeah, I do.
I'm about to send you this new shirt because you said aliens and it's a new shirt design I made.
All right, let me see it.
Shout out to my buddy Adam who drew it. It's pretty amazing. You might have to click on the picture and zoom in. But
all right.
I think that's what, like, I was asking about the interview and the question things. So I've had better
Mhm.
conversations with regular people rather than I've had with
Oh, I
interview
love that.
guests. You
That's
like
rad.
it's pretty sick.
Yeah, dude, that's so cool.
But
That's really cool.
so what I'm thinking is like I'm gonna end up turning this into like a clothing thing with it because I'm having more fun doing the designs and also chatting with folks. But like I'm a little bit perplexed because as much as people like this alien information is now coming out and all these things are coming out, you're starting to look at like, in the COVID bill, they released a bunch of stuff about aliens or unidentified flying objects. The reason we had a particle accelerator that stretched over 2.5 miles that people were afraid and got it shut down because they thought it was going to create black holes. Now they're talking about being able to discover another dimension, just like this one. It's you
Mhm,
and me still in it, but it's
mhm.
a different variety of us. Like I might have an afro or I might have something different about me or something. And I'm like,
Right.
to say that 100% that there is no
Mm.
alien species, I'm like, I would like to talk to the person that still thinks that because I'm like, that just sounds like we don't even understand what water technically really is.
Well, you know what it is? It's I think that a lot of this is all based in fear. Like people get afraid of what they don't understand. And the easiest thing to do will say it's not real, it's not real. Just push it off to the side because that's the easy out. I don't need to explain it because if I keep saying, even if deep in my heart, I'm not 100% convinced, if I have now programmed myself to say it's not real, then
And
I can feel better.
there's no good representation for it. Every fucking alien interview or any person that like says like
Mhm.
all these experiences, they go like it's like Alex Jones and the frog
Oh
thing.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
He was right about frogs growing different genitalia that weren't a part of their gender, but then he said frogs are gay, and then everyone memed it that way. And it's like you got to cut it off at a certain point. With most conspiracy
Yeah.
theories, you got to cut it off. Bigfoot documentary on Hulu,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, yeah,
fucking
yeah.
horrible. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
terrible.
It starts off, well, we were robbing this cannabis plant, and you're like, all right, I'm already fucking tuning out, bro. What's the
Yep.
dude's name?
Oh,
Wise Moon is his name,
yes.
and he's a
Oh,
fucking white dude, and he goes, look, here's Sasquatch, and he has this little Sasquatch figurine. He puts it on top of his giant jar of weed after he's been spending 25 minutes showing you giant nugs that he grows. And I'm like,
yeah.
bro, get one guy that goes, Bigfoot's real and I can prove it. Here's my identification. Here's everything that I've been
Yeah.
studying
Well,
for the
that's
past
why,
20
dude,
something
that's why when you
years.
say like the alien stuff, and this is where I start to see credence in the things
Clear
that they're saying.
water?
What's that?
Clear
No, no,
water?
no, that's not what I meant. I meant not CCR. I meant credence in like what the theory that there is something out there, right? Or is when pilots like in the Air Force are like, I saw something, and I'm a trained aviator. I saw something I cannot explain. Like the thing that they said with the most recent one with the upside down pyramid was they said that it went from the air into the sea and then back out with, and we don't have the ability to do that. That's not like it's complicated to get into the ocean and then to dive into the ocean, impossible, and then to come out of the ocean like that. That's what they saw that thing do. So
Yeah, I've
you know what I mean?
read
Like that's
I've
nuts.
I've read so many accounts and like I agree with you, but I'm also I my show. I also like
Mm-hmm.
to think of the other perspective of
Of
things. Now,
course, 100%.
I
percent
have studied eye illusions, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people you don't realize right now as you're talking to me, there's a little squiggly line that is just out of your field of view right now. But if you
Mm-hmm.
noticed it was there, and every time you would look up that little squiggly line, the eye boogie, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
follows. There's
Yep.
parts of all right. So shadow figure syndrome is when you were a little
Yep.
kid and you were sitting in your bed and you look in the corner and see the shadows start moving into figurines. Now, with
Yep.
this eye illusion thing, they talk about that when it is night or some things like that, you will start seeing certain things that go on with your eyes will start playing tricks on you.
Yep.
Same thing, for instance, with there was the most famous case of Bermuda Triangle would be Amelia Earhart, but there was another
Mm-hmm.
one under it where there was a whole entire flight squadron of airplanes that eventually lost communication with. And the dude literally, like after an hour of the radio going,
Yeah.
like that. He goes, the radio comes back in and he goes, I don't know what's up or down because the electrical field, everything of that, basically just a random sea. You can't see anything. The sky matches the fucking sea. So when he thought he was going up, his plane was actually going down into the ocean, but it's the eye
Wow.
illusion that actually wrecked it. And I mean, I got super into fucking airplane crashes and stuff like that, trying to figure out, especially with ghost ships and all that. But
Yeah.
the craziest one I've ever heard was like the black box one, where it was the live recordings of this plane that had turned and exploded in a hangar. And the guys, like, you get to hear the co-pilot go, I can smell my flesh burning through this
Oh
radio
Lord.
thing. And it's like a 911 call where they show the words on the screen. They do
Yeah.
that with it too. So it's just a guy go, Jim, are you okay? And he goes, I can smell my flesh burning. And then it's just this
So
explosion.
no, I'm not okay.
But
I did the opposite.
these are
I'm on fire.
when
Help.
so that was just the rabbit hole I dived down. But when you're really
Yeah.
looking at these facts of these things and these eye illusions, and you're really trying to keep that little bit of like skeptic and also trying, it's so hard without knowing it or seeing it for yourself. And I'm like,
Right.
any account that you can find on social media of alien abduction, the guy's like, I got probed, all these, and then you get something like I just read to you. You get something like that. But I'm talking like, my DMs are so weird because I talk to so many, like I talk to cult leaders and I talk to people that are highly religious because I want to see both sides of the pool.
You
here.
want to see it all. You are an equal opportunity,
Well, I don't
just give
fucking
me all
know
the information.
anything.
You
That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's the thing. Like you want to, because and the only way that you're going to get perspective is by talking to some of these people and understanding that. Now, to your point, there's some people that send you an email like, hey, yeah, I'd love to. However, I got to fend off this alien that's trying to stop my book from being published.
Call me
There's
when you're
that
done.
side of it. Yeah, good luck. I hope that it works out for you. But then there's other people, again, when you start to hear some things that are a little bit more credible. And I do think that part of the challenge is this. When those people get a platform, like the Bigfoot guy that you mentioned, right? Moonwise, whatever his name was. Part of the reason that they chose him is because he's weird, right? Like he's got a weird name. He's showing you his fat nugs of weed and he's talking about Bigfoot. And so they look at that and they're like, yeah, I think that's going to be interesting to people. Not because they're trying to, if their purpose was, I want people to believe that Bigfoot is real.
That documentary was the whole purpose of that was to be like, this is all bullshit because they introduced that in the beginning. Any person that's funding an actual, like, let's prove Bigfoot's existence, wouldn't show giant things of nugs. They would be like, hey, let's
actually do this. Take it seriously. You take the subject matter seriously, and you don't have a guy that people are going to look and think, this is not a credible person. They're not, like a scientist. Like if there was a science,
if you're making an alien documentary, are you going to talk to the nut job that is like hanging out by his farm and talking about how he was probed and his cows keep getting stolen? Or are you going to talk to the flight experts that have seen things in the sky that they cannot explain?
Yeah. I want to talk to Neil deGrasse Tyson about that shit. I don't want to talk to fucking Bob the farmer who says my cows are gone. For all I know, his neighbor took them. I have no idea.
I love that you said Bob the farmer, because one of the most famous people that believe in Bigfoot is Bobcat Goldthwait.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he does. Yeah, he's hardcore into it.
He wrote a book called Finding Bigfoot.
Didn't he? Did he direct a movie about that? Did he direct a Bigfoot movie? Yeah, I thought he did too. Yeah, he's a great director, by the way.
It's just so hard because, see, the way to break into fame now is if you don't have extreme talent or if you don't have like scientific fact or research behind you, it's to either go batshit insane to where it tracks the eye of the public. And that's when I see like there's a skill behind it. But see, the part is when you dive into the crazy end, then you build up this character that has to be crazy. So where if you put up anything that might be truthful, might be smart, might be anything that's logical, people are gonna be like, shut the fuck up. Didn't you have your underwear on your head doing a TikTok video?
Well, is that, but you mentioned Alex Jones. Alex Jones, understand it. Alex Jones his persona is a work. He's not doing it because I guarantee you, if you peeled it back and you had a regular conversation with the guy, there are probably some things that he really believes very strongly, but he overdoes it. He amps it up to 15. He turns it all the way up so that he could be hard, because that's what people like. It's entertaining. And that's why he is who he is. But to your point, because of that, because he's taking videos of shit and calling them people. Like that's for a good portion of people that aren't his fans and his staunch supporters, people are going to look at him like he's a nut job, even if he might be saying things that could potentially be true. It's just you over rotate, and I think that's what they do a lot of times in Hollywood is find the people that do over rotate because those are the most entertaining. Those are going to be the one that gives you the most looks.
Well,
And
the issue with him is that he even talked about it in a Joe Rogan podcast. Got really serious with the last time he was on. He was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm physically and mentally just they're draining me. And it's like that's what will happen. See, the thing is when you dive down a government rabbit hole, it goes into many different rabbit holes where it keeps going farther and farther. And then that's when you start getting schizophrenic because you start realizing maybe everything is bullshit. Why are we using money? Like, what is this factor? We live on a planet, but we still have to pay taxes, even though they didn't create this planet. We just magically evolved from here. I had someone at one point, a scientist, I think it was an evolutionary biologist on my podcast. And I was talking about like, yeah, we evolved from chimps and all this type of stuff. And they go, you think we evolved from chimps? And I'm like, what? Like, I thought that was a known thing that we evolved from chimps. It's what I grew up knowing. And they're like, no, fuck, we didn't evolve from fucking chimps. And I'm like, I think you're wrong, but I don't know. And I'm like, what have I been told or thought that was true? And then I feel like you think we evolved from chimps, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, I've never heard anything different.
That's what I'm saying. And then I was like, I went to a zoo with my grandma, and this monkey that we were watching in this zoo grabbed a stuffed animal, and 2 seconds after grabbing that stuffed animal, ripped its fucking head off and started jacking off with it.
There you go.
My grandma has a video of it, and it's just her snorting, laughing because it's funny as shit. And I'm
That's
like,
a great video.
So you cannot tell me we didn't evolve from chimps if that is our base primal level thing. But then they start tossing out theories. And you're like, I don't know. It could be all plausible. Like we could come from Mars if you talk about like an asteroid hitting Mars and space particles floating onto Earth, entering the atmosphere and us evolving from those particles.
It could be anything. We don't know anything. We weren't there. So like, anything could have happened. I mean, like, but the people that, to your point, when somebody with some credibility comes and says, well, no, you're wrong, then you have to like kind of say, all right. But as long as and this is where it comes down to, you mentioned flat Earth, right? People that really believe, because they're out there that really believe the Earth is flat, really believe. There's a documentary on Netflix. It was really interesting. I'm not sure if you saw the flat Earth documentary there.
Eddie Bravo because one of my biggest heroes, my Power Ranger buddy, is a flat earther, and he sends me all those things.
The green guy, the Green Ranger's a flat earther?
No, he was the stunt double for a bunch of them. He's been on a couple of times.
Yeah, you told me that it was like one of your favorite guests is the Ranger guy.
Yeah, he was on recently too, but he doesn't ever want to talk about it because we did a 3-hour episode that won't be released because he just doesn't want to talk about flat Earth. It gets him upset because he's just so convinced by it. And I hear him because the way he talks about it, I'm like, yeah, you got really some. Please. But see, the issue is whenever I talk to like, so someone told me dinosaurs didn't exist. I had a couple of paleontologists on and tossed that theory out about them. And they're like, that person's a fucking idiot. And I was like, stop. You can't do that because anytime I see a flat Earth debate versus round Earth versus dinosaurs are real versus not dinosaurs are real versus vegan versus meat, you guys put your fucking knowledge together, your information together and talk, and we'll get more things done than calling each other fucking idiots and then not associating. It's fucking ridiculous. Gets the name calling on fucking Twitter or something. That's
what they want to do. They want to because you get so locked in, and that's what I'm saying about people too often will just latch on to their belief system and not be open to any other ideas. It's kind of like politics, the same thing. If people that are super like ridiculously Republican or ridiculously Democrat, you can't convince them that anything that other side does has any value. None. Like you can't, they're just incapable. The people that are so locked into it, they just are not open to the idea that you can look at an issue or look at a topic and have an opinion that may actually lean on one side or the other. That's not normally where you stand. And people get upset about that. And people get pissed at those people for not being like, well, no, you're on the blue team, not the red team. You can't fucking start wearing red on this particular thing. Put your blue shirt on.
It's
And that's just, yeah, it's crazy.
it just gets so hard because it's hard to find out what the truth is when everyone's kind of like diminishing each other's progress and stuff like that. Like it's a big problem with academia and PhDs. A lot of people are now using like now PhDs are now people that are going for like doctorates or people that want to become scientists can now use this pseudonym.
Hmm.
And it's just a big issue because you start leading into like now you can publish anything that could be ridiculous misinformation because your name's not attached to a name or you're going under a pseudonym. And I learned this the hard way going through Twitter to get some guests that have PhDs or something. I'll look up the
Hmm.
hashtag PhD. I'll see
Hmm.
which ones I'm super interested in, and I'll look at it. And like, I mean, my episode list, if you check, is just like whatever I'm
I was like,
interested in. I'll
dude,
be fucking.
you literally, it's a cornucopia. You don't, it's one of the things that I like about your show is that you're not, and you said it before. It's if someone's interesting, I'll talk to them. I'm not gonna be one way or the other. I'll give them the opportunity to be able to speak their mind, to give their opinion. I'll ask them good questions. If as long as they can talk and we can have a good conversation, then we're golden. It's that's the cool thing about having a platform, right? Is because then you can, if you are inquisitive like you are, like I am, I'll have anybody on because I want to understand perspectives. Whether they're crazy, people may see them as crazy or not, whatever, don't care. I want to see everybody. But to your point, I may have if you have a doctor on and, or, and they're, I guess if they're putting their stuff under a pseudonym, I'd probably want to ask them about that. Like, why
That's why I
is
use
it?
a real name for my show. Like I've had people message me
Mhm.
based on I told a person you can't use a pseudonym or you're not coming on my show, and then they'll message me fine. I'll use my real name, and then now
Mhm.
I've had this just happened recently. A guy messaged me, who's the son of a guest, and he was like, "My dad's a liar. I listened to the episode and was commenting all this stuff on the YouTube because when you're listening to a show, even if it's from 2 years ago, which the episode was from a year and a half ago, you're it's new to you, so you think it's happening right now, and nobody checks the video update content. So I was getting
Mhm.
messages from this kid at 1 o'clock in the morning, 12 different messages saying, "You want the real truth? I'll tell you the real truth. He's a liar. He's this." And I'm like, bro, I fucking talked to him once a year and a half ago. I don't keep in contact with all
Yeah, it's
700
not.
and something people.
I'm not. It's not like we're best friends now and talking all the
I
time.
don't have his name tattooed on my ass, if that's what you're asking.
Well, we don't know that.
But it leads into this like because whatever I'm interested in is what I'm reaching out towards. So when you see a bunch of people that are all like the
Mhm.
same kind of thing, is because that month of May, I decided I was interested in fucking rabbit biology or something. I don't know. But then you go on the PhD thing on Twitter, and then now there's just a bunch of people that don't actually have PhDs that are giving themselves a doctorate or a title in their name and Instagram and having a fake account where it's like, I was talking to a few of them and it's happened a couple of times. I haven't posted the episodes and I'm not going to. I'm
Mhm.
talking, I'm like, "So what do you research?" And they tell me I research this. And I'm like, "Where at?" And then next, they say this school. And then I start talking. I'm like, you think the
Yes.
earth is flat and you're a
Yeah.
fucking astrophysicist. I'm starting to question, tell me why. And then they're like, "Because I know it is. I'm a scientist." I'm like,
But
that
that
answer is not good. You
that's
cannot give
well,
me that answer.
yes, that doesn't have any fact behind it. That is an opinion, which you're allowed to have, but don't come on and purport yourself to be something and say, "Oh yeah, I'm fucking I am to your point, I'm an astrophysicist, and I'm not going to give you any scientific evidence that the Earth is flat. I'm just going to tell you that I think it is." Well, then I don't buy
I
into
just
what
don't
you're
like
selling, buddy.
liars, man.
Yeah, don't lie.
I had a
Don't
dude come
lie.
on for 2 hours. He started crying in the episode. Then when we were
Oh
done,
no.
and I'm sitting there like, I can
But
sense,
why?
I
What
can
was he
sense,
crying about?
I can sense. It was a sob story. I'm not even going to mention his name.
Uh, okay, fair.
Um, and we talk off air about it.
Okay, fair enough.
Because I'm not going to do that on air.
No, that's okay. That's cool.
But I was talking to him and I'm like sensing like bullshit. I want to be like, okay. And you can see my face like, okay, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
afterwards he goes, "Did you get what you needed?" And I was like, "Get what I needed?" He goes, "Did I cry enough for you?" And I was like,
Oh,
"Are you doing it for content, bro? Because I don't give a shit about that." And he goes, "Oh, how dare you have me come on your show, and then you don't like my content, and I'm trying to boost your shows." And then I checked his reviews on his show, and it's a bunch of
mm-hmm.
people like all he does in his episodes is complain that his life is shit and ask for donations on his Patreon. And he's
Yuck.
changed the podcast name so many times to try and change the reviews, but that's not how it works. And I'm like, is it so hard to come to the table fucking clean? If you really want to do a Ponzi scheme, go fucking set your
Yeah.
car engine on fire and explode in it and fucking get insurance money from that. I get calls all the time telling me my car's going to fucking explode. This just happened the other day. I was driving and a dude's front of his engine was smoking like black. And I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yo, get the fuck out of your car. And he was
Yeah.
like, why? And I'm like, your engine's smoking. He's like, yeah, whatever. And then he just started driving. And I'm like, dude, I was like at a distance, like I'm about to watch a dude fucking die.
Oh man, you pop out the phone. You're like, we can take this video.
I had video on it. Yeah. I was ready. I was ready.
You're like, if I got to catch this content, it's going to be good. And it's really interesting too, is that people. So look, there's scam artists all over the place. They're people that are gonna, try to get you to give them money for what, just because. And people are dumb enough to do it. They'll like, yeah, sure, I'll give you some cash. You seem like you're a doctor. Sure, why not? You're not a real doctor. You're a fucking fraud. Show me your goddamn diploma. And you know who gets really pissed about fake doctors? Actual doctors.
Yeah.
They're like, I went to school. I had to do a residency. I had to, write a thesis.
Had to eat ramen fucking lunches all day.
Exactly. These people are massive amounts. Now they're doctors, if they're the actual doctors. It's interesting because those people don't care that they're basically, it's stolen valor. It's the same thing as stolen valor. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. Like I like from my perspective, I am not down with people that are fucking fraudulent, and you could tell it's because you start they crumble under the questioning, and those are the people that if you have them on, thankfully, knock on wood. Speaking of which, I've not had to have somebody on. We have not had people on this show that have not been interesting, and have not been truthful and upfront. So. Thank God. I mean, like you probably run into more than I have.
Do you really not like who you are so much that you want to play a persona of a person that everyone thinks that you are when you're really not that person? I'm like, I don't even fucking like myself, but I'm going to be myself. Like, I'm not going to come on here and tell you I'm a fucking #1 podcaster or any of this shit. Like, I know some of my buddies are like, I'm getting voted for a podcast award. I was like, Joe Rogan doesn't even have a fucking award. He got paid $100 million to be on Spotify.
Yeah, like a podcast award. What podcast award? And usually, again, if you think about those are probably scams. They're like, oh yeah, we're going to give you an award. You just have to, register for this thing and then give me your information here. And then, oh, it's $20 there. Like, well, yeah, dummy. Like if they do that to 100,000 people, there's plenty of podcasts out there and they get 10% of them, they're making bank. And they're what? Because they gave you a Lucite trophy. Ooh, look.
I just don't like the fact that everything in the world's already pretty fake. It's like, do we have to have more and more and more of it? Why can't we just have a little bit? Like, that's why Joe Rogan's so popular. It's authentic conversation. It's like, that's
discussion.
It's what I enjoy because I'm actually fucking hearing thoughts. And even though I might not agree with some or I might not it's cool to hear another person's perspective, much like your show. It's just a bunch of people joking around, having fun, cracking jokes. But then if someone comes across your show that's all like up in their like little wokeness or whatever they want to say, they hear your show, they go, they making fun of this person and how dare you? And it's like, what the fuck? Move along. There's plenty of other shit in the sea. I'm not affecting your life in any way. You're still able to function.
Yeah, you're fine. And I don't really understand. And I guess again, it's freedom of choice because maybe some people like listening to shows like that. I prefer, like you said, authentic conversation, authentic people. And I guess that there is a place for it because again, those people that are not necessarily broadcasting their fakeness would probably gravitate towards things that align with the way that they see things and things that are somewhat fraudulent. They don't need all the evidence. They just hear it. It's kind of what we said before. You're on one side or the other. I'm either Republican, Democrat, or whatever. I'm a flat earther or I'm not. If you're saying the things that I like, evidence is not necessary.
It's like not being yourself on a dating app and then they meet you and you expect that person to go, I'm not fucking doing this date. Like you expect them to go, well, you're not going to date me now. It's like, yeah, you're not who you fucking said you were.
Exactly. You look completely different. You got catfished essentially is what happened. You got catfished, you got tricked. And that's the thing. It's like, don't try to trick me. If you're interesting, be interesting. If you have a good opinions or not, if you have an opinion, as long as it's your opinion and you've got something behind it, it's not just there, then I could probably have a good conversation with you. most people, it depends on the individual, I guess. And we just don't live in a society where authenticity sells all the time. So they go with the dude that is talking about Bigfoot that's, got the weed farm, instead of actually somebody that may have some legitimate proof that,
like
hey, look,
it's
I got a
trying to be
video.
Hollywood. Like when they used to tell you the thing, we're going to need you to cry at this part. It's like, what? It's like, we needed to be a little bit more real. So like when we do the Kardashian show, you need to have like an issue and you really need to take a hit on it. It's like, I don't think they're actually like that.
Dude, so we were talking again, back to that interview with the guy from America's Got Talent that had COVID. He was talking about his experience on the show, and it shouldn't be a surprise to people, but it was like, we got a lot of comments about like, I didn't know that America's Got Talent was scripted reality. It's like, it totally is. He was saying how they asked him like, hey, could you do, because his dance partner was actually at the time his wife. And he's like, oh, rubber feet. We want to just see her rubber feet and like touch her and kiss her. And, and then he's a little bit of a bigger guy. So they're like, hey, eat this burrito. We want to take video of you eating this burrito. Cause they're basically saying, hey, look at this fat guy. He's a dancer, and that's it created better, interesting, but it's not like naturally he was sitting there saying, you know what, I want a burrito. And they just happen to catch the moment. They created the moment. And so like, those are the kinds of things that it's just, you see that kind of stuff, the Kardashians, any of those shows that they say is reality. That's not reality, man. Like, it's really not.
What's better, if I would have known Larry King was dead and then acted like I was shocked by it, or was it that 100% natural reaction of me being like, no fucking way, and then Googling it and seeing 2 hours later as an article title?
Right, exactly. No, but the real moment is the more impressive one. So when they're building all this, the story around things, it's not interesting. Like you could tell, like they've got I think that people forget, when you do, if you're doing any kind of content, you're cutting it together. If you're doing the production yourself, if you've ever produced video or music or whatever, you get a lot of B-roll. There's a lot of stuff that you just don't use. It's just like throwaway stuff, right? If I'm doing a compilation of something or whatever, and or I'm doing a commercial or something like that, I get a lot of content, then I cut it down until I get the right 30 seconds or whatever it is. But there's still a lot of other stuff that's kind of sitting on the cutting room floor. That's the same thing with any of these shows. There is an editing process that crafts the story that they want to tell, not the story that is the real story, but the story that they want to tell. They want to make you look like an asshole. You're going to look like an asshole.
It's kind of like when I watched the meat and vegan debate on Joe Rogan that went like 4 hours long, and you were seeing the guy, the scientist that was producing articles about meat and all this stuff, and it was like the words that he was using were slowly leaning your head a certain way to be like, okay, well, it says that 70% of people that ate meat weren't affected, 15%, or no, 17% got cancer and 13% didn't get cancer. And then the way he wrote it was 83% of people experienced nothing or did not get cancer from eating meat. So you could tell that it wasn't from meat. It's like, but hold on.
Well, wait, what about, yeah.
You can't just toss those other people that got it out, though, is what we're saying. He's like, yeah, well, there's no correlation. He goes, no, you can't add those numbers together. It's the way you're saying it. You're adding them together to sway to your opinion, not or your bias, not being non-biased in any of these things. That's why when you see so many studies, you have to really, okay, what does this person do? Okay, they research bats. Okay, then you go to the study, and the study's about how coronavirus wasn't caused by bats. Okay, what's the evidence? And you start looking and go, all right, there's some biased points here based on this person's animal conservation efforts and everything of that sort.
Right. Yeah. What is the thing that potentially is shading their particular view, right? Like this is where, again, you mentioned the authenticity piece. It's like where if you're not going to be honest about things and really you're just you have an agenda, which is, and a lot of people do. I mean, I guess to a degree when you're on a, if you're promoting something. So if somebody is being interviewed because they're promoting, like the guy that we had on, he was promoting a book. So we talked about his book. I read his book twice because I wanted to be prepared. So a lot of times what happens is I think, if you're good at doing your homework, and I think that's something that all podcasters should do, is that if you're going to have somebody on, understand your audience. Don't just assume that you're going to be able to walk your way through it without really knowing. And that was one of the things that was nice about, after we got done that interview, he said some very nice things about like he was happy that we were prepared, because he goes on a lot of podcasts and they don't know anything about him. So it's good to have a national flow of conversation, but it's also good to be able to do a little bit of pre-work to understand who you're talking to and be able to actually build on the conversation. So you're not staring at each other like fucking dildos.
Just had the longest staring competition.
Yeah. I mean, like that. I have not had that yet. Like where I've gotten somebody on where it's just so awkward. Like everyone's been so far has been really good that we've had on, and maybe that's partly because we don't do it all the time. Like if it's just Kevin and I bullshitting, I could talk to him for hours and
when did you get Kevin on the show?
Yes, you do. Yes,
I've asked him multiple times. He never got back to me.
No, the last time he was going to come, he was going to be on the last time, but we had to reschedule. And then he had something that came up, so he'll be next time you have him on. I'm sure he would be thrilled to come on and talk to you because he's a good conversation too. He's an interesting guy.
Kevin, I don't know you, but if you're a friend of Chris, you're a friend of mine.
Oh, look at that! And then you'll come on and meet him. You'll meet him on the when you come on our show, so you can talk to him then. But yeah, we're it's exciting because we are getting ready for the second annual Cinco de Mayo contest. It's a bracket. So last year when we had no March Madness because of coronavirus, we wanted to have some kind of we missed that feeling of having people pitted against each other and till you get to a final winner in a I think what the bracket was
finish him.
Yes. Mortal Kombat just came out on HBO Max.
I already said it way before it came out that it was not going to live up to the hype that everybody was hyping up to. And then I kept seeing reviews. Everybody's like, it was not as good as the first one. I was like, I fucking know. I watched the trailer. The CGI looked like dog shit.
Yeah, dude, it's not going to look. I'm going to watch it just because not out of pure hatred, but out of just because I have HBO and why not? I'll just take a look at it. For the most part, the things like I watched the entire Snyder cut, which was interesting. But look, man, there's good and there's bad out there, and our podcast is we try to focus around the bad because it's fun to talk about things that we don't like. And Cinco de Mayo was really that. We said let's look at a decade, and that was a decade. We're going to actually switch it up this year, the 90s, and say of TV, movies, music, and fads. What are the
moon
worst?
Pies. Moon pies. They're gone.
They're not. They don't exist anymore.
Well, they're like not as hyped up as they were. I remember all the time back in the day, people used to like when I was first doing this podcast, they were always talking like I would talk to some night owls or something. They'd be like, yeah, I just had a moon pie and energy drink. And I'm like, now I don't know what happened. I guess because coronavirus, the same thing with like taquitos on the roller at 7-Eleven. They don't do those anymore.
Well, you can't. That's
I don't give a shit about COVID. Good. Give me a taquito.
Yeah, I like a taquito. I had a taquito yesterday. Chicken taquito was delicious.
Oh, Jose Ole's?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, that's the only brand of taquitos that you should be getting, unless you're getting the off-brand great value shit where fucking half of it sticks to the. If you heat up anything on a napkin, you're just begging for pain.
Well, why would you do that? I put my taquitos in my air fryer. They're delicious, crispy, perfect.
You're one of those rich sons of bitches.
I mean, an air fryer is a pretty standard.
It's like, do you want to be
my friend
microwave level taquito, or do you want to be oven level taquito?
I want crispy taquito. I don't want fucking soggy taquitos. What?
See, that's the thing I liked about being back in the day was that you would just put 40 on a plate or how many came in a box, and then you would shove it in the microwave for like 20 minutes. And then as you work from the ends, they were super hot, like
yeah.
And then as you worked into the middle, they were ice cold, and you still ate those and did not heat them back up.
Well, right, but now I have equipment that allows me to heat the entire taquito evenly, and now I don't singe my mouth and ruin and then have cold taquito meat.
Your goddamn privilege.
Well, I guess. But
next you're gonna tell me you got a goddamn cotton candy machine in your house, don't you?
I don't know, but I do have a snow cone maker.
What?
I do. It's not for me. It's my daughter's. It was one of her birthday presents. She got a snow cone maker. Yeah, she's believe me, the kids were over here. They were fucking making their ices. I started immediately thinking, how can I incorporate alcohol into this? So I'm thinking about being able to make, like vodka snow cones. Oh, how great would that be?
I wonder if I do that with my whiskey slushies. I do A&W root beer. I put a little bit of whiskey in it, and then I put a lot of ice in it, and then I just slush it up. So it's like you end up fucking having a great time. I went over to my ex's house, and her little sister had an easy bake oven, but I walked in and I never had an easy bake, but I had a shrinky dink. And I was like, fucking Shrinky Dinks. Like, I got super excited. She's like, that's my sister's Easy Bake
Yeah.
Oven. And I was
You're
like,
like, oh,
oh,
you're like,
fuck.
can I have it? Can I have a poorly made brownie then, please?
Yeah. One that's like still raw.
Oh God. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, that's when you get older, it's the finer things in life, the air fryers and the snow cone makers, it makes everything all right. I think that's the lesson learned here. As you get older, you get a better job, you can get those wonderful things, get the equipment in your house to make the things that you really want in life, like vodka snow cones or taquitos that are heated evenly, for the love of God, and crispy. God
How
damn
to
it.
distribute the heat.
Dude, I don't want to, like I said, I don't want a fucking cold center. I remember it. I was in the same boat as you, like a Totino's pizza roll, same thing. Put them in for a period of time and might get a cold one.
I had one food that I would never trust to eat, and that is, I like saltines, but anything that can keep open in a package for like 9 months and they still taste the exact same, that's kind of scary for me. But I like that. But the little cherry tomatoes that come in the little case, because you would every time I was a kid, it was like a random, like, is this the good one or is this the bad one? You bite into one and it ruined your whole experience.
Oh, dude, it's few things worse than getting a rotten tomato. I'd argue too, if you're a fan of oranges, you can get a bad orange, and those, oh God, they'll make you want to throw up. Yeah, any kind of bad produce, not good. Or like if you're a fan of avocados, if you don't have the right ripeness in your avocado, man,
I just don't trust you if you're eating an avocado.
You don't like avocados?
I don't trust the food where you only can cut it a certain hour of the day of the month you bought it in. Where I was like,
do you like guacamole?
No.
No guacamole, no shit.
No, when I eat chips, I usually eat them plain, or I eat maybe a little bit of salsa.
Little salsa, okay.
Hint of lime is the best.
Oh yeah, Totitos.
Spicy nacho Doritos or spicy sweet chili in chili is fucking
magnifique. Yeah, it's funny because you know how your taste palates change over time, and my 10-year-old just started getting into hot stuff, like hotter or hotter, spicier things. So those Doritos that you're talking about, she just started getting into them. And there's something else too. It starts with a T. They're like little rolly
Tostitos.
No, I can't remember the name of them.
Tortilla chips.
Nope. It starts with a T, but I can't remember that. There's that's it. Takis. Thank you, sir.
Did she eat the blue ones?
Yes.
That's who I saw. I saw your post of Takis then.
Yes, she was a big fan of those. It was just interesting because she was not into that at all. And she's much more open to trying new things than my almost 14-year-old now, because she has she's very plain. She likes plain chicken sandwiches. She's like a whole bunch of fucking, just the facts, man. Just give me the chicken and the bread and I'm cool. No condiments, no nothing.
See, I also find it weird that some people don't like the heel of the bread. And I'm like, I grew up where I was like, fuck it. It's the only thing left.
Oh, dude. Well, how about this? Like, are you a big, when you get fresh loaf of bread, the nose, you down with the nose, or you're not down with the nose?
Eat it if it's in front of me. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. It's just, you don't give a shit. You are nose or body. Doesn't matter. I'll take whatever part of bread that you're going to give me.
It's like, what are you going to throw out that piece? It's a waste. I'm like, I don't buy foods that I will not eat the whole entire thing of. Like, I don't buy bologna. I will not eat bologna. Just don't like the taste of bologna, unless you want to be in stomach pain for the rest of the night. But if I get a food, like, I got to know how to make it. Like, I figured out how to make chicken in the oven, like 6-7 months ago. First time ever using the oven, because I was always warned as a kid that you'll burn the house down if you don't turn it off and stuff. And I was like, I don't need that in my life. I just saw literally like last week, I just saw a person's house burn down and the person was out in front of their house crying and screaming. I'm like, that's gotta suck, man.
Oh my God. Well, but you have to be, look, as long as you're not narcoleptic, you got a timer. You can find out when the chicken, it usually recipes tell you cook it at this temperature for this long.
I just use the stove top. That's easier.
That's fine. You can
even that I freak out where I'm like, I use the stove top. Like when I do some podcast recordings, now that I know how to use the oven, I'll put it in for an hour 45, put it in at 450, and then I'll just wait till the alarm goes off.
Right. And then you hear it and you're like, oh, time for food.
Yeah, but sometimes I'm in the middle of a chat and a dude's still talking about like, atoms and neutrons and protons, and I can hear my
Yes.
chicken beep beep, and then my fire alarm going beep beep. I'm like,
And you're
oh
like,
shit.
sir, could you please wait for a moment so my house does not? I don't want to talk about, uh,
No, I just go,
neurons.
where
What
can
my
people find you at so I can go get my chicken?
Well, this has been a great conversation. Smoke's billowing in your black curtain. You're like, oh God, I'm gonna die. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, so do you have any weird food things? Like, obviously, you talked about not liking avocados, which I don't think is a weird thing. I think it's just a preference. Anything that like you eat that people would see as unpopular, things that maybe they wouldn't, most people would say, that's kind of gross.
Yeah, I eat the same meal, and I've eaten the same meal every day for 9 years. So
Which
I
is
can of tuna and a little bit of lettuce, and then I
Mhm.
grab a handful of cereal and I crunch it up and use it as croutons.
Interesting. What kind of cereal?
I have a giant container that's just over the years been a mixture of cereals. Whenever it gets like halfway full, I just pour a new
Yeah.
cereal in there. Yep.
Right. So it's a cornucopia of cereals.
Like right now, I'm eating um, Raisin Bran mixed
Mhm.
with the Hershey Kisses cereal, the chocolate one. So it's
Okay.
like it's just crunch. I don't do croutons, so that's my croutons.
Why don't you like croutons?
I don't know. There's way too many calories, I guess, in it.
Okay, so it's just more of a health thing. You're like, I'd rather have something that's a little bit lighter.
Yeah, usually my meals
That's fair.
like I usually eat under 600 calories per day. So
Okay, that's it's not a lot. That's
well,
you just
well, the reason I jumped into my fitness thing was I was in high school. I got made fun of for being like a little bit overweight when I was entering into high school. Then by sophomore year, I was only down to eating an apple a day.
Oh wow,
So
Jesus.
when I decided to join the gym my junior year, and I've gone every single day since,
Mm-hmm.
that was like, I mean, I was eating, I would eat a bag of Doritos in one sitting, spicy nacho. And then I remember running on the treadmill for the first like 2 days of the gym, and I was sweating orange. My skin was orange. So I can't even eat a Dorito or really a chip anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So now I've always stuck to chicken breast, rice. I just started eating rice, and then tuna, like so much tuna where my doctor's like, you have mercury poisoning. And I'm like, how do I fix
Yeah,
that?
I'm about to say,
And he
stop eating
goes,
fucking tuna, dummy.
and I'm like, no, it's $1, bro. It's $1. You can't beat that. And it tastes good. I like fish.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's okay. But you live in Ocean City, right? So
Yeah.
like, I'm sure that there's like other fish alternatives that you can go a
I
cod or something like that.
I eat that too. I eat salmon, all that stuff. But only fish I eat that I don't really I like everything that comes out of the sea, but I'll choose this last if I had to eat it, and that's flounder, because
Eh,
it's a bottom dweller, so you're getting a lot of bad bacteria from the fish as well too. And I got massively sick of that. And like, I mean, was puking horrible. But I ate fucking honey smacks and got salmonella from it, and I still eat that.
You got salmonella from honey smacks?
They had a
I don't even know how
recall
that's
in
fucking possible.
2019.
Wow.
Yeah, that with the
How you
iceberg
fuck
lettuce,
that
they
up?
both got salmonella.
I remember the iceberg lettuce. I remember I got food poisoning. I was This is when I was still actually a person in sales, like for my company, and I was driving around, and you never have time. Like if you're, and I'm a hard worker, so like I would like always jam pack my day full of all kinds of stuff, and so I never leave time for me to get something to eat, which was not smart. But I was in, I think like Ambler, Pennsylvania, and I'm driving around, and I was starving, and I had like 15 minutes before I had my meeting, so I saw a Burger King, right? And I was like, all right, Burger King. I'm like, I don't really like fast food. I don't really eat it. But I said Burger King, I'll go there, and I went in there, and they said, and there was a salad. Well, they're Burger King, not Salad King. So I didn't realize that getting salad there would make me puke my guts up, shit my pants, and fucking basically die on the floor of my bathroom. It was the worst. Like food poisoning may be the worst experience of your life. You feel like you're dead.
That's the only time you become religious, is right at the end.
Like, oh God, please just save me. I'll do anything. You start making decisions, bargains with with the Lord, even if you don't really believe in that kind of thing. You mentioned that you do have religious people on sometimes too, right? So do you have, are you agnostic? Do you have, are you Catholic, Baptist,
I'm open to all
snake
realms
handler?
of interpretation.
So you don't have a.
I'm in the that's where people get mad at me, because I'm in the middle of the
I'm not mad
road
at
on
you.
everything. They're
No,
always like,
it's
pick
fine.
a damn side. I'm like, I can't. I don't fucking know what's real. I don't want to get to the end. I don't want to cut off that tie. If you had to ask me what I think the afterlife was more like, I would
Sure.
probably say it's probably they weigh your options of like, because I'm a pretty good judge of character. I can tell if someone's good or bad. So I'm
Mhm.
like, is that an inner like power of moral compass where I'm like, yeah, some people have like, okay, this guy's might be an asshole, but he's a good person. But then there are some people that seem really nice and they're a fucking asshole. And I'm like, I bet you get the you die, you enter this purgatory place, and this person weighs your fucking options, and then you fucking
Mhm.
go to heaven or you go to hell or you go to whatever. If you want to choose to be reincarnated, I bet it's like a free option type thing. You want
So
A,
you
B, C, or
basically
D.
you're spinning the wheel and figuring it out, like whatever, you know. I think from my perspective, and my parents, well, not my parents, not my dad, probably not. My mom definitely super Catholic, crazy Catholic. Um,
Ruler and all.
what's that, buddy?
Ruler and all.
Oh yeah, one hundred
You
percent.
said "What's up, buddy?" like a guy that was like, "What the fuck did you just say to me?"
No, no, it's like, what's up, what's up, yeah, what's up, chief?
What's
You know,
up,
when someone
bro?
called you, what's up, what's up, what's up, fella? No, she, no, she wasn't like, I don't know, she didn't go to Catholic school. I don't believe she might have. Um, I never really asked her that question. She's, I mean, like, just she is just super religious. When we were growing up, she would make us go to church every Sunday and stuff like that. And then, you know, my siblings, my brother and my sister and I all kind of fell off the fucking wagon after, you know, we got to adulthood and we were like, yeah, you know, we'd still go like with like on holidays and stuff with her. If she had asked, we'll go. But we were just really like fucking little hellions in church, you know, just bad, really, really just rotten humans. I would just always like whisper poison in my sister's ear. I'm like, look at that guy's hair. And you know, like it was, we weren't, we weren't, we were not good in church. Like we should not have been there. That we're not good for church. I'm sure people were looking at us like, what these fucking kids like. And my mom, who is super, like I said, crazy religious, just kept bringing us back and just kept introducing this poison into this fucking this. These people are, they have faith. We
Well,
didn't have any fucking faith.
my cousin is 6 months behind me, but he's like hardcore religious, like goes to
Oh,
the
really?
church ever since we were little. And I would literally try and leave Saturday night so I didn't have to go to church with them on Sunday because I knew if I spent the night and I stayed till Sunday, I was going to church with them in the morning and my grandparents would pick me up like halfway through the day or something. And I
Mm.
remember that my aunt talked to my grandma and my grandmom's like, you can't go over on the weekends anymore to your cousins. I was like, why? He goes, because she said that the priest asked her to not bring you around anymore. And I was like, why? And then it was like,
Well, I do.
I was asking way too many questions. And that's when I started being like, what the fuck? Like
Yeah.
you would think that something that created you would want you to ask fucking questions about a lot
Well,
of
I
shit.
mean, we just talked about like I think it was maybe 2 episodes ago. We had a draft of the worst things about Easter because we do that pretty much on any holiday. Like, what
Painting
is the
the
worst thing about it?
eggs.
Painting the eggs. I actually didn't make the cut. There was one of the things that Kevin had chosen was I chose fake churchery because like going to church for no like just because it's the holiday and you feel like you have to. It's bullshit. I
I'm
didn't.
filled with the Holy Spirit.
No, you're a goddamn liar is what you are, and you're going there under false pretenses, and you're ruining other people's praying and shit. So like, don't do it. If you don't believe in it, then don't go. Just be like, I'm not gonna go. So, but he
Rabbits don't
said
even lay eggs.
no. But by the way, why? And why is a rabbit using a basket? It's got like little Tyrannosaurus Rex arms. Like, if anything, you would figure like a backpack or something because then it could, why a basket? It doesn't make sense.
I still, when I did my Easter episode, it was about what
Mhm.
do you feel about those robin egg candies? Because it's like literally if you want to feel the taste of eating an egg of a baby bird.
Oh, dude, you're crunching into it. It's
It's like
chocolate
you're
and
eating
delicious.
bones.
Yeah, exactly. The only
Like
thing is
Whoppers is a terrible candy because it's like malt chocolate, but when you bite into it, it's like it's so hollow, it's like crunching into like chalk on your teeth.
well, we were talking about like one of the things that's terrible about Easter candy. One of the worst Easter candies of all is the giant chocolate bunny. That's a fucking talk about false advertising. You bite into it and it crumbles into a billion pieces. It's not solid.
It's
You get
hollow on the
excited when you see.
inside.
Yeah, it's like got nothing in there. It's like, well, this is bullshit. Like you gave me a big bunny, but there's no actual
I
chocolate in
love
there.
Easter. Easter, anything, even Valentine's Day is my favorite too, because what happens is I have this guilty pleasure that a lot of people know listening to my show and they don't think I do it until I send a video of it. I walk into the store where the candy aisle is and I crush one of them in the wrapper. And I swear to God, it's like fucking sex to me. I'm like, and I'm breaking it. I had a manager go, can you stop? And I'm like, no, this is
You're
my
like,
fuck. Don't take this from me. I had a
this is
rough
my
day.
thing. This is my thing. I'm allowed to do what I want. God
Like
damn
I'll
it. What are
set
you
out
gonna
a
do?
good hour of grocery shopping and I'll just go to the candy aisle where all the seasonal shit is and just start going like Kinder eggs. Oh fuck, dude. Until
Oh,
you hit that
oh,
BMX bike in the center, you're good.
that's great. That's amazing. But we were talking about like the story, because you mentioned about asking questions in religion. We're talking about, and Kevin was like, I don't, the story is like fucking terrible. You know, but it's also probably bullshit. Like if you think, like, okay, so again, sorry for people that are religious that are listening to this, but dude goes into a cave after being killed, stabbed, crucified, and he's thrown into a cave, dead body. 3 days later, miraculously, he ain't in there no more. He's just gone, and then all of a sudden he just shows back up.
Did
This
anybody
is why.
check the cave for a bear?
Well, dude. Well, I mean, oh no. Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. The bear's just gnawing on Jesus's head.
He's
Yeah.
probably hungry.
Yeah, well, dude, you fucking throwing a snack in here.
Have you ever seen Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell?
Yes, I have.
When Satan's in there, he goes, yeah, eating meat on a Thursday is against the Bible, or was against the Bible, but being a cannibal isn't. He's like, what?
It's just dumb. It doesn't make sense. And I said, you know how I know that story's bullshit? You know how many other times it's happened in history? Zero. None. Have you ever heard of anybody else coming back to life Houdiniing their way out of a fucking cave? No, you have not. Who?
CPR.
That's not the same. I'm saying back. 3 days later.
Yeah, that's
a corpse.
A while.
That's a long time. Like your brain cannot operate. Again, now if you believe that is the Son of God and that God is real, that's a different thing. I think that
aren't we all the children of God though?
I guess if God, I believe there's a higher.
That means
power,
he has a favorite son, and that's fucking biased.
Well, I think he only has one. It's just the Jesus. Unless you're talking about all of us being, his by proxy, his children. Yeah.
But then Jesus is the son. I'm like, yeah. Imagine some dude was like, I'm God's kid too. We're all God's children. And it's like Jesus, like, no, but I'm really God's kid. You're all adopted. He's like, what?
I would say that if that's the case, then there's a lot of back child support that he owes across the entire country, the world.
I got a goddamn stimulus check. Where's my check from God?
Yeah, exactly. Where's that at? Where's my gold? Where's my at least give me some fucking what is that? Frankincense and myrrh. Like what do those three wise men bring? Gold. Give me some shit. Like give me something. What I get? You know what you give me? A fucking flavorless, round, manufactured thing that you're saying is your body. I'm eating you. That's what you're. And
what did he give me? What did he give me? He gave me chlamydia. No, that was God. A stripper named God.
Yes. Oh, or yes, or a stripper named Jesus.
I'm wrapping it up before people start getting angry. Chris, where can people find you, my brother?
Yes, go to Digging in the Dome on Facebook and Instagram. You can go to Digging Dome because some asshole has the in the for something else on Twitter. We're on YouTube now, so you can just get, if you like noises and pictures, you can see both us and hear us. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're pretty much anywhere you can get streaming shit. So go check us out. We're entertaining. God damn it. And we'll have you on soon, my friend.
Entertaining and pleasurable.
Thank you, sir. I would hope so. So yes, and sorry for people that may have been offended by my blasphemy.
These are just jokes, folks. Just jokes.
Hey.